Okay, apologies for 9:06. I'm trying on a Monday. All right. Soccer's morning show for another week here at Soccer Down Here. John, hear you there. Reaction Monday. So obviously anything from the weekend is on the table. Let me go over traffic for the week. And this morning's normal. And obviously, we'll have our league programming coming up tomorrow, USL Championship, League One, MLS Next Pro. All of that gets released. We'll talk about the twos here in a little bit as a part of the show. The return of Prim and Proper, and we will go over what happened in Week 1. We'll get you ready for Week 2. That'll be out later this week, and we can talk about whatever's on your mind when it comes to the Prim this morning, and we've also got Monday Night Football with Manchester United and Wolves. Remember, Gary O'Neill is the new manager for Wolves because Julian Lopetegui was not pleased with the lack of activity, financial players in, that kind of thing. So because of the figure that he was cutting around campus, Wolves decided to let him go and bring in Gary O'Neill, who was let go by Bournemouth after winning 4 of their last 5 to stay up and finish mid-table last year. And we mentioned last week, Gary O'Neill's the kind of guy that's used to doing things without the biggest budgets in the world. So he kind of fit what Wolves was looking for, although he did admit in a preseason interview that coming on this late in the game before the season starts is not ideal. So we'll see what happens with Wolves and Manchester United. Will check the juice boxes and viewing and gossip and rumor and innuendo. And players have been signed, and we've got releases and stuff on social media. We'll get into all of that this morning. Also on the board tomorrow, it's going to be an afternoon SDHPM. So it'll be SDHPM tomorrow. Immovable appointments have created SDHPM. Set your notifications, and my guess is it's going to be early afternoon. So we'll have the morning to talk about, and everything else will get you ready for Leagues Cup semifinals. It is on one side of the bracket, Philadelphia and Inter Messi, and on the other side of the bracket, it is Monterrey at Nashville. And because of that, on Wednesday morning, batting leadoff, Lucas Panzica, the play-by-play voice for the boys in gold, Nashville SC. He'll be on right off the top at 9:05, batting leadoff to go over what happened on his match at Geodis. He's got the late game, and he's going to come on with us early on Wednesday. Wednesday, the traditionally busy day that it is. So Lucas will bat leadoff on Wednesday to talk about Leagues Cup, getting us ready for a Leagues Cup final. And like I said, we'll talk about what's going on with Philly and Miami. We'll get into that as well on Wednesday. And hoping to have Dylan Butler on in his normal 10 o'clock slot on Wednesday, and Bart Keeler in his normal 10:30 slot now that he's back on this side of the planet. And we'll do Reffing Down Here and anything else on Bart's mind in the 10:30 slot on Wednesday. Nico Moreno obviously joining us on Thursday at 10:30. Looks like we're going to be catching up with Soleil Washington, and that will be a 1v1 that will be picked up later in the week, and we'll let you know when that is. But we'll catch up with her now that she's back from representing the Reggae Girls in Jamaica in the World Cup, and we'll talk about that experience for her and what it's like being back on this side of the planet. And we'll talk about all the stuff with her. And then Friday is your normal Friday show, 9 a.m. start, because we've got conference calls getting ready for Atlanta United 2 and Red Bulls on Monday. I guess it'll be on Friday. We'll find out. But as of right now, Friday will be a normal show, but a 9 o'clock start at Friends from Beyond Goals. I think it's Michael Parkhurst's turn. I don't think that Parky will be joining us from Toronto like Greg Garza did on Friday, but we'll be getting you ready for everything. So pretty busy week here at SDH, and glad that you are a part of it as always. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Here is your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, provided I can punch the right buttons, and that's kind of what's going on here with opening kickoff, by the way. Don't forget, thanks to our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com for everything that they are doing. And thanks to all of you who have been investing in Kickoff Coffee and starting your mornings or maybe your noons. Maybe, you're like Nico. You have your coffee that gets you through the day, or you're like Gonzalo Pineda that gets you really through the day. And it works your way through there. Don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off of your purchases. And they in turn take 10%. Our friends at Kickoff Coffee, they take 10% reinvested into youth games and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I don't know if this is the same for you, but why is it on Mondays? Yeah, well, Hutch, you're not the only one. Pretty much anything works its way through me. My question to the floor this morning has to do with alarm clocks. And my question is, on Monday mornings, is it always the same for you as it is for me? You'll wake up like, you've got your alarm, it's set for a specific time. But your body is ready to respond like 90 minutes ahead of time on a Monday, not any other day of the week. And every other day of the week, it gets progressively worse and worse when you're responding to the alarm on the alarm clock. But like 90 minutes before everything starts on your Monday, body's up, ready to go, bang. Hey, we're ready to go. We're ready to rock. Body's good to go. Weekend's behind you. Doesn't matter how much hard charging you did or if it was, easy and lazy and you were just kind of sitting there doing stuff. But the body on Monday is ready to go. And if for some reason you end up falling back asleep, hand raised, then you're still ready to go. The body is still just like whatever, but you always end up, waking up like a minute or two before the alarm. So Monday, you've awakened twice, if not more. Like it was dark outside initially, and then all of a sudden you're up and ready to go, and you're like, nope, it's too entirely early. I'm going to lay back down. I'm going to try and figure out what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go back to sleep. And you do, maybe. For those of you that do, hand raised. But then the body always wakes up like a minute or two before the actual alarm is supposed to go off. And body's just as ready to go. And you're kind of sitting there. Mentally, you're like, man, what is this with the alarms? It'll at least be uniform in your presentation. If the alarm time is the alarm time, let the alarm time be it. Don't wake me up ahead of time. To where I'm sitting there and you're staring at the ceiling and you're sitting there going, I'd really like it if I could have just slept through the night and then the alarm goes off a minute or two ahead of time. Then I'm good. But no, on Mondays, body's ready to go 90 minutes ahead of time at least. Still dark outside. And you're like, nope, entirely too early, because you know that no matter how late you've gone to bed, hand raised, on a Sunday night, then you're sitting there and it's like, But you end up with that kind of stuff in your shenanigans for the Monday morning. It's like, it doesn't matter, does not matter, does not matter. You could have had the hardest of hard charging weekends, and your body's ready to go 90 minutes before that alarm on a Monday morning. No matter how much convincing you try to do otherwise for your body, body's ready to go. And you could look like death warmed over, hand raised, and be ready to go. At least the body is. The brain is sitting there going, dude, really? And you're having this fight amongst yourself physically and mentally on a Monday morning, and you're wide awake right there in bed. And I know that some of us also have other external factors that are attached to this kind of behavior on Mondays. But now, just in my case, Monday mornings, bam. I know. LAFC did not go well this weekend. And Bam's like, see y'all when he's in the chat next. Just be safe and be well. Thanks for popping in as you always do, Bam. It's great to see your words, and great to have you here on a Monday evening your time. But yep, body was ready to go this morning. Doesn't matter what the weekend is like. Could be easy, could be hard charging. You could go to bed at like 2:30 in the morning, but 90 minutes before that alarm, and your body's ready to go. Mentally, you're like, really, bruh? So that's I did not know if that was the same for you collectively as it is for me on a Monday. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, David's like sounded like having a 2-year-old until that waking up ready to go part. Yep. And Hutch, I did not know this. Hutch says before alarm clocks were invented, people would be hired to wake you by knocking on your window at a certain time of day. What if you lived on a second or a third floor? They throw rocks. And Hutch says the profession lasted until the 1950s. How do you put that on a resume? Professional waker-upper? Professional window knocker? Door knocker? How do you put that on a resume? How does that described on a CV? Excuse me, sir, what do you do for a living? Ma'am, what do you do for a living? Oh, I wake people up for a living. Then we turned into morning sports talk radio. Then it went from people knocking on your doors until the 1950s to morning sports talk. That's how we knock on your door now. You just knock on your door and excuse me, hi, good morning. You're sitting there and you're like, okay, get up, out of bed. It's that time. Get up. Yeah. How do you put that on a resume? How does that look? Professional door knocker, professional waker-upper. Just a thought. Well, like I said, I didn't know if it was a universal thing or if it was just my body rebelling against me on a Monday. So that's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on social media platforms, not just Twitch. We do feed to Twitch, but we also do feed to the Soccer Down Here Facebook page and to Twitter. And we started doing that a couple weeks ago. And thanks to everybody who's been either watching on all the other social media platforms. It does eventually roll over to the YouTube channel. But Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, or other places, I still don't know what to call it. I really don't know what to call it. Maybe that? I don't know. Okay. Oh, so Hutch has now also posted a link for an apparatus for second story knocking. Man, they put a lot of thought into this. They really did. They put a lot of thought into knocking on second and third. Okay. I mean, it's just like a long fishing pole. It's a long fishing pole, and dude seems to be quite in the picture that Hutch is linked to on the Twitch page. Quite happy, dude's quite happy with himself, knocking on the upper window with his fishing pole. You have to make sure that you don't smash the window, though. That's the key. Don't smash the window. But yeah, I mean, I did not know this. I did not know that. That's just wild, wacky stuff. So I did not know that you could be a professional window door knocker person to wake folks up. I did not know that. Did not know that. But that's your opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, KickoffCoffeeCO.com. Whatever's on your mind this morning, we got a lot to talk about, whatever direction you want to go, because, yes. And then Hutch decides to quote Tony Orlando and Dawn. Whatever's on your mind this morning, we've got news we can get into. It appears that Neymar is going to Al Hilal, and it looks like his salary figure is going to be in the 9 figures to the left of the decimal place. Apparently, he is flying there for a medical this afternoon, local time, this morning, our time. And it looks like it's a 95 million euro transfer of Neymar to Al Hilal. Going to be getting the same money in the bank account. I hope he has direct deposit as CR38 and Karim Benzema. And this goes to a larger question that I have to the floor this morning. The Saudi Pro League, I have a rationale, Tom. I have a manner of discussion here. Are you under any auspice, circumstance, or idea going to watch this league? Morning, Modiflow. Are you going to watch the league? Since one of the three-letter networks, the network one of the networks that is broadcasting the Women's World Cup from Australia and New Zealand decided leading into this weekend to pick up the U.S. hemispheric contract for this particular league. And as evidenced by Tom and Michael Head early responses, they're both in capital letters, and Michael has added punctuation to it. So far, the answer is no. I have no interest in it either. And it is, and it is the greatest hits package as to why. It is the greatest hits package. Not interested in the league. Not interested in seeing a retirement league. Not interested in seeing. I mean, the only reason that I would watch would be just for the production value and seeing what production quality they have and if they're going to do anything when it comes to broadcast. I would want to see what the broadcast looks like, but there are too many other factors attached to it. Yeah, you don't have cable. And Tom, this is the other element that's attached to it. Tom says he won't ever support that kind of sports washing. And for me, it would be just strictly from a production standpoint. But I don't know if I'm even that fired up about it. I'm really not. Not interested in the league, not interested in what it stands for, not interested in the talent pool that is there. Like I said, it's a greatest hits album from a band that I really didn't like in the first place. It's like why would I buy this album? Why would I get the MP3 on my iPod and listen to these guys? I'm not interested. Like I said, I might check in just to see how the production is, but I'm not going there to sit there and go, look at all this talent. And I mean, here is, all right, let me get the list of folks that have transferred into the league. And our friends at the Four Letter, among others. And this is as of 2 days ago. Benzema on a free, signed a 2-year contract with worth 400 million euro, $436 million. 218 million a year. Break that down to whatever per minute. N'Golo Kante on a free, set to earn 86 million euro a year in his 4-year deal. Ruben Neves from Wolves to Al Hilal for $60 million, 3-year deal. Koulibaly, Chelsea to Al Hilal, is going to be making $21 million. 3-year deal, having paid 40 million euro to bring him over from Napoli. Mendy, Al Ahly, 16 million euro, 21 million bucks. 3-year deal. Gerard coaching Al Ettifaq, not one of the big four that is backed by the PIF. Brozovic, Inter Milan to Al Nassr. Had interest from Barcelona, opted for Riyadh, where he's signing a 3-year deal with a salary of 25 million euro a year, 30 million bucks. Jota, Celtic to Al Ittihad. 3-year deal, Saudi champs, signed on loan for Celtic from Benfica, 25 million euro, $31.7 million. Bobby Firmino on a free, Liverpool to Al Ahly. Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, Lazio to Al Hilal, where he's going to join Neves and Koulibaly. 20 million euro a year until 2026. Seko Fofana lends to Al Nassr. 3-year deal. 25 million euro, 28 million bucks. Alex Tellez, Manchester United to Al Nassr, 4 million euro, 4.4 million bucks. He was on loan to Sevilla last year, reunites with CR38. Malcolm Jeannet to Al Hilal, 4-year deal. Koulibaly, Neves, Milinkovic, Savic, Malcolm, 60 million euros, 66 million bucks. Jordan Henderson, Liverpool to Al Ettifaq, 12 million pounds, 15.4 million, 33-year-old, 3-year move, joining Gerrard. Dembele, Lyon to Al Ettifaq on a free. Jack Hendry, Club Bruges to Al Ettifaq, 6.5 million euro, 8.3 million bucks. 32 appearances in the Belgian Pro League, time on loan to Cremonese. Mahrez, Manchester City to Al Ahly, 3-year deal option to extend, 35 million euro, 39 million bucks. Alan St. Maximin, Newcastle to Al Ahly for an undisclosed fee. This was 3 weeks ago. PIF also have a 75% stake in those 4 clubs. Remember, they need to move the player out due to FFP. Fabinho, Liverpool to Al Ittihad, 51.33 million, 40 million euro. Fabinho, 3-year deal. Mane, Bayern Munich to Al Nassr, 30 million bucks, 4-year deal. Signs up to hang out with CR38, Brozovic, Fofana, and Alex Telles at Al Nassr. Franck Kessie within the week. Barcelona to Al Ahly, 13 million bucks. 1 season at Barcelona. Talks ongoing. We mentioned Neymar. Hakim Ziyech, Chelsea to Al Nassr. There have been a couple of different things having to do with his physicals, whether what passes, what doesn't. Bernardo Silva, Manchester City to Al Hilal is a talk. Saul, Atletico Madrid to Al Nassr. Simeone's side will demand a significant fee, still under contract till 26. Pogba, Juve to Al Ahly. Reportedly been offered a 3-year deal, 100 million euro, plus bonuses. Questions as to whether or not he wants to leave the Serie A side. No Mbappe, no Messi, no Lukaku, no Mourinho, no Son, no Modric. Rejected 3-year, 170 million pound deal, 215 million bucks to sign a 1-year deal with Real Madrid. Vardy rejected a deal to Al Khalij. Pedro to Al Hilal. Mitrovic wanted to go, but Fulham rejected it for him. Zaha to Al Nassr was supposed to be 38 million a year, rejected a move and signed to Galatasaray. Marco Silva, Fulham to Al Ahly. It's too early on a Monday morning to do all of that math, but that's a metric-ish ton of money. And I ain't watching it. I'm not all that fired up about it. And we talked about the whys. I mean, we talked about the easy, low-hanging fruit. As a journalist, I look at it from the journalistic standpoint of the Khashoggi murder. That's it. Bottom line for me. From a journalist's perspective, why should I be interested in something like that? I'm not. Amada Flow. But, John, you don't want to see the league that made Saudi legend Samir Al-Jaber? Yeah. Michael Head. Michael's sister was a teacher in the UAE for 18 months. Needless to say, she had a horrible time. They really treat women and immigrants like dirt. Yes. Morning, Ricky. So this is where we are. So then Tom says, but does it make me a hypocrite if I'm okay with that league offering to overpay for a player from broke-ass Everton? They get him off of your books and they take him away and you're happy that you can actually maybe bring somebody in for a change, even though apparently Sean Dyche is not pleased that they're not being able to bring in folks. Modaflow. Modaflow's got a friend working whose fiance is doing contract work in Kuwait. Wants to come back now. He's got 4 months to go. Yeah, Fox woke up and was just like, yeah, baby. Hutch, Saudi money will soon replace monopoly money when it comes to discussing out-of-control sports ball costs. Yep. I mean, that's true. And yeah, David, the PIF owns the Big Four. It's like the 1940s National Hockey League joke, not competitive like that. Well, and let me see. The Saudi Pro League is in charge of the Big Four. And as of July 13, Al Nassr banned from registering new players until they settle a debt with Leicester City. Al Nassr can still sign new players, but not register them to play until outstanding bets are paid by the club. It's a debt to Leicester City. And I want to get Saudi Pro League PIF owners on. It's NERS Monday morning. They own a majority stake. Let's rephrase. Josh Sim over at Sports Pro Media. The Saudi top flight clubs were privatized with the goal of making the league among the top 10 in the world. PIF is taking 75% stakes in Al Nassr, Asian Champion League finalist Al Hilal, Al Aqli, and Al Ittihad. Understood, and that goes into the signing of Karim Benzema. PIF owned 80% stake in Newcastle following the completion of the takeover. Each club will be managed by an independent board and have separate executive management, the sources said. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. PIF also discussing that $200 million African Super League sponsorship that's supposed to start next year. Don't tell me for a second that all of this isn't steering itself toward Vision 2030 and Saudi Arabia getting the 2030 World Cup. Guarantee it. But, yeah, to recap, the Big Four, Al Nassr, Al Hilal, Al Aqli, and Al Ittihad, 75% stakes in all four. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, independent board, separate executive management. So, yeah. What you want to do, you want to make sure that those Big Four, I want to know, and I know that we've gone down this rabbit hole this morning with the Saudi Pro League because of the Neymar physical and probable possible signing. Oh, yeah. But Ricky says ignoring the 100-year anniversary for literally anywhere else in the world would be wild. But and this is where making too much sense makes too much sense. Having the 100-year anniversary, yes, fantastic, makes too much sense. Absolutely it does. And as El Mataflo says, but money. But money. Yeah, you need to have the 100-year anniversary in the 100-year country. You need to. Absolutely need to have it in South America. But as a part of the Vision 2030 project, this is where all of this is leaning. Where all of this is going. As a part to them wanting to be top 10 on the world stage. But if you ask CR38, they're already there. Oh yeah, we're one of the better leagues in the world. They're incredibly competitive. When you have an investment fund that is owning 75% stakes in four clubs, of course, you're instituting parity. When you're really instituting parity in all of this stuff. Oh, I know. But yeah, I want to know with Al Ittifaq and the initial goal of the PIF in owning the Big Four is they want to get the Big Four to a point where they can eventually sell them off and have others run them outside of the PIF. They want to make sure that everything is over to the side, and it's like, yeah, we're going to give this jump start financially, but then we want other folks to pick this up eventually. I don't know what their timeline is on something like that, but we'll see. But I want to know with Al-Ittifaq and with Gerard, how long it takes for him to become frustrated because he can't compete with the Big Four. Yeah, you can bring in all these players you want, but I want to see where Al-Ittifaq finishes in the table without watching a match because they don't have the backing of the PIF. Hutch says the Saudis are trying to distract from something smelly in the kingdom, something larger at play here than 2030 World Cup hosting. Well, I mean, it goes to all of the sports washing that we've been talking about, amongst other things. But from a sporting perspective, all of this money that they're investing into all of this athletics. Hey, look, we're investing in sports. Look over here. Hi. No, Alex, you're good. No, Alex is wondering now that he's just joined in, should he leave? No. The question that I raised has to do with the Saudi Pro League. The fact that Neymar is on his way to his physical, and he'll be signing, and he's going to be making an ish ton of money a day, /week/year. And that's the other part. I mean, we're still waiting for Moises Caicedo. Where is he going, red or blue? But the biggest thing was, now that the league is up and running, and now that it has an American dance partner, are you watching? I'm not. I have no interest. Zero interest in a retirement league where apparently CR38 had to leave the turf crying after suffering some kind of an injury this past weekend. But no, the larger question I had was, are you watching now that it has a U.S. rights deal? And my answer was no. And Tom, we will be getting into all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo and everything else that is being left unsaid. So keep all of your gossip and your rumors for the show as we continue to roll them out this morning. How many of you saw the weekend opening of the Premier League? What'd you think? Yeah, Enzo and Caicedo, $250 million combined or something like that. Yeah. Let's drop that. Let's just drop that wording right there. Yeah, we won't spend X on a certain player, but we'll sure as hell spend $250 million. Want to know any specifics from the Atlanta City game? Parzival. I mean, we've got that. We got the twos to talk about. We've got it was a rough night for the twos last night. It was 1-1 at the break going up against New England Revolution 2. And Rev scored 4 in the second half. Could have been a lot more. Biggest thing to keep an eye on out of this match is the injury to Efren Morales. Morales removed himself from the match after an injury, and they've got a big match coming up next Monday here on the network, a week from today, in Montclair State, on the campus of Montclair State against Red Bulls. So 5-1 loss to the number 2 team. They also had Revs had some first teamers. Bayraktarovic was there. Chankalai was there. A couple of others were there. Tommy McNamara, as a part of his rehabilitation, hadn't been playing for 6 months. So Tommy Mack was in the lineup last night for the Revs. So they had some first teamers, kind of like what Atlanta United 2 had against Crown Legacy. Revs had last night against Atlanta United 2. And 1-1 at the break. We got to keep an eye on the injury to Efren Morales, and we'll see where it goes. But they've got a week, and they've got a big match on the road at Montclair. 2 more home games only left in the season for Atlanta United 2 as they're chasing after that 7 spot. And since we're thinking about it right now, the standings in the East after yesterday, remember, top 7 teams make it to the postseason. Crown Legacy's in. After their 1-0 win over Huntsville yesterday, they're in. They got 50 points. They're in the playoffs. 17 points clear, 6 matches to go. Revs with their winner 4 points back. Crew got blown out by Red Bulls 5-0. And they're at 42 points. Red Bulls are at 41, so the Red Bulls closed the gap. OCB, Orlando City Bees, at 37. Chicago Fire last night was in a back and forth with Intermessi CF. in Bridgeview and went to PKs, and into that one. So, of course, you don't tell me what's going on as I'm sitting here trying to look at things. And FC Cincinnati did folks favors. We'll get to that in a second. Fire won in PK, so they did get the extra point. So the Fire got 2 points last night. Inter Miami had a lead, and they had a 2-0 lead, actually, and then gave it all up 2-2, head to PKs, losing in PKs. So Fire's at 35 after a 2-point night. Philadelphia Union, FC Cincinnati did a lot of folks some favors last night in the standings, beating Philadelphia 2-1 at Subaru Park. So here's what you're staring at with the chase. Union right now at 33 points. That's the playoff bar. Huntsville, with the loss, stayed at 32. They're the first team. They're in 8th. NYC, with their game last night, they had a lead at home, lost it to OCB. So OCB did some folks some favors last night. When was the last time the purple team did Atlanta a favor? So NYC's at 29 points. Atlanta United 2, 23 matches. Folks around them have a match in hand, so they've got to steal some points someplace. Atlanta United 2 is at 27 points. Toronto FC 2, 26. FC Cincinnati 2, with their win, they're at 24. So there's some gap closing there. And Inter Miami had the opportunity, if they were to lose last night outright, they would have been eliminated from postseason contention after 22 matches. So Inter Miami's at 17 points. So Union 33, Huntsville 32, NYC at 29, Atlanta United 27. 6 points separating 7 through 10, 7 points separating 7 through 11. 5 points, 5 teams, 7 points right now. So Atlanta United got to get points at Red Bulls on Monday. We'll have that one for you on the SDH Network pregame. After the first team is playing in Seattle on Sunday night, I'll have the call for you from the action from Montclair State, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock kick, Atlanta United 2 and Red Bull. So that's your playoff situation right now in MLS Next Pro. But obviously this week we got to keep an eye on what's up with Efrain Morales. We'll keep an eye on all of that. Supposedly was 3-3. With St. Louis City. 3-3 up 2-0 lead given by the second teamers. It's what you heard. Yeah, closed door. Those interested, it appears, and this is hang on. All right. So as I'm sitting here and I won't give it the breaking news sounder, but I may give it a trumpet. Ricky, for those interested, it appears the United third kit was worn by Goody Mob, and it's on their IG story. Okay. All right. Keep an eye on that. Would it be something that I would be down with? Would it be something that I would be interested in? Let me know. Hutch says he can't even watch Newcastle now because of there being a Saudi proxy. Apologies to Miggy. So Ricky says it's in the Atlanta influences everything IG story. Yeah, Newcastle was good, Modiflow. They were. And we got, like I said, we'll talk about the Prem. We'll talk about whatever else is on the table. Reaction Monday, we got gossip, rumor, and innuendo, folks leaving, folks moving, all that kind of stuff. We'll keep an eye. And I know, and I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. Now, I know that you guys on the weekend, on the whole, in the collective, saw the stories about Thiago Almada and over the last couple of days in Almeria. And 10 million, 15% of the pass, 14, 15 million, that kind of a thing. Yeah, Mings did his ACL, and that was ugly. That was pretty bad. And they're saying that it is going to be a substantial amount of time that Tyrone Mings will be out. Your captain is out for a while. But I know that where Thiago Almada was concerned, a lot of folks were going 10 million, 14 million, 50% of the pass. Here's how I'm looking at this. I don't think Almeria can give you the 30 or 35 that you're looking for 100%. Just knowing in this that if it's, if 15 and 50%, and you get to keep Thiago Almada to the end of the year, and these are the key points here. Eyes down. Hutch is going lyrics on us. Hutch is going lyrics on a Monday. Look at a couple of different factors. The percentage of the pass versus the amount of money. And you don't know how I'd feel about the kid. Okay. All right. Well, I'll look on the AIE Instagram account. Honestly, I mean, I love what AIE does. The boss actually has a lot of Atlanta Influences Everything gear. I love the peach old school Atlanta Braves A, and that work that they did as a part of everything. But I'll wear Atlanta Influences Everything stuff. I have no problem with that at all. But where Thiago Almada is concerned in Almeria, first off, once again, check your sources, because this past weekend, and thank you, Alex, for subscribing. The biggest element in all of this, first and foremost, check your sources. I feel like I'm playing rock, paper, scissors here on Twitch. The individual, group, organization, guy, person that was the most recent with any kind of Thiago Almada / Almeria rumor, he had like 4,000 followers on Twitter. And once again, like we were doing with Turkish sourcing, with Saba, and then eventually Silva and Chiatti, but with Saba specifically, check your sources, because the last notation that we got on anything involving Almada and Almeria was a guy that had 4,000 followers on Twitter. If there is any inkling of truth whatsoever to any of this, once again, this is where we learned Spanish sourcing, much like we did when we learned Turkish sourcing with Saba. Check your numbers, check your sources. 4,000 followers, this individual, group, person, organization, guy said it was 10 million and 50% of the pass. Now remember, that 50% of the pass, that's 50% of the pass. That's for like ever. So what you're doing is, and once again, the key is the way that I look at it, and when Jarrett comes in, we can talk about it with Jarrett too. But the less money up front, the more of the pass you want to retain. And in Thiago Almada's case, you get to keep him till the season is over. And then he can go and do the next element of his hopefully incredible career from his starts here in Major League Soccer. But once again, look at it this way. Percentage of the pass and the money in the upfront. If you want Thiago Almada, you want him now, it's 30 to 35. That's your ballpark. But you want him, you don't have as much in the upfront, and 50% of the pass. If you go 15 million and 50% of the pass, because as we all know, those of us that will follow the European game has a self-inflated value of its transfers. All we got to do is look inside the Premier League, and you can sit there and go, Romeo Lavia, 50, 60 million. Moises Caicedo, how many times we talked about Moises Caicedo and how much that's exploded? Yeah, and Coco, understandable. Coco just doesn't trust Almeria to develop him and be a good shopping window for his value to grow in a way that's productive for the player. They were a point out of being relegated last year. True. But in these situations, look at these different things and counterbalance them amongst one another. The higher the price, the less of the pass getting him now versus the lower the price, more of the pass, development over time, and getting him when the season is over. Having Thiago Almada leave when the MLS season is over. He has his curtain call. He goes on and moves into the European marketplace. But also at the same time, if you have, Thiago Almada being looked at by Almeria, what that also does is it makes you sit there and go, oh, well, what does Almeria know that the rest of us don't? So you might end up with something in the neighborhood of, say, 15 or what have you. The last notification we had from Gaston Edul from TIC, once again, now this TIC, Gaston Edul, TIC, 757,000 followers on the X. So Gaston Edul has it listed this way. Almeria offers, Atlanta rejects an offer of 10 million euros and 50% of the pass. Edul says they continue to negotiate. Almeria is going to improve the offer. Okay, so Gaston Edul, A-level source, TIC. So we'll keep an eye on that. But and Coco, once again, the fee and sell-on's fine to me. He's a $60 million plus player if he goes to the right club that can develop him and sell for a massive profit. The team is crucial here. If Almeria have another bad season, go down to the second division in Spain, it's going to be awful for him as a player. True. But then he gets sold. Then Atlanta gets 50% of whatever that was. Then he goes someplace else. And there you go. It's just, it's a part of that sweep, and we keep an eye on that. But Gaston Edul, A-level source, compared to the guy who had 4,000 followers and did this paragraph and a half about the whole thing on the weekend. So Gaston Edul had the last word back on Saturday from an A-level source listing. So that's where we are. Just weigh those two elements in with each other and know that the European market is quite inflated and quite enamored with itself when it comes to all of these things. All right. Getting close to the top of the hour. And like I said, we'll talk about what happened in the week of the Premier League, whatever league is on your mind, and all of these other kinds of things for week number one. Like I said, Prem and Proper is going to come up later in the week. We'll get you ready for week number two. Getting into viewing habits, how much of it did you watch this weekend? How much of opening weekend of European football did you watch, and what did you watch? As kind of the palate cleansing from all of the stuff in Leagues Cup that we got to put up with. Final four. Yes, no doubt about it, Coco. Newcastle, great debut for Tonali. But Tonali's not happy. Tonali's not happy at Newcastle. He looked pretty happy to me. Goal and assist. Absolutely, he looked happy. Yeah, Ricky said watch both of his teams have center backs get injured for the year. So yay. Hey, yeah, that's always pleasant. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the promo since it's 55. Leagues Cup is a palate cleansing. Hashtag sarcasm font. Yeah, so we'll get into all the other stuff. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, things left unsaid. Very, very clever stuff brought to us by our friends at West Ham with their new 7-iron. I thought that was very clever, by the way. Very, very clever from our friends at West Ham with their new signing. But hey, let's read a promo. Brought to us by our friends at Lemonize Service. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's Lemonize Service. Proud sponsor of everything here at SDH. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, they've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster, offering a turnkey process. I've always wondered what a turnkey process is. I'm reading copy and I don't know real estate, but it says it offers a turnkey process, makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. I hope that's a good thing. Lemonize service, kind to the environment. We like that. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever, different than Febreze or other masking agents whatsoever. Lemonize uses a proven scientific formula to destroy odors down to the molecule, because when we talk about masking agents that you have either under the sink or above you in the cupboard, when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard to grab said masking agent, you bring it out into the open air and you spray it into the air. There's a reason it's called a masking agent, because all it does is mask the odor. It doesn't attack the problems like our friends at the Lemonize service do with that proven scientific formula. Pricing easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, this is where I grab my pen, go to the website, lemonize.com, but do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that they are having you address them from, so they can help you with your problems. Full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH here on a Monday. And Hutch, I said Leagues Cup is kind of a palate cleansing just because of all of the craziness that has gone on, and I will continue to ask this question. When it comes to Leagues Cup in and of itself, has your mind changed with all of the craziness on the field, officiating, games over when they're not, 19-frame penalty kick shootouts? Has your mind changed about Leagues Cup at all now that we're down to the Final Four? Certainly has made Apple TV's life very, very easy. Because if you go to Apple TV and you're dialing up the MLS content, it is all Intermessi CF all the time. Not that that should be a surprise to anybody. So, do you watch? Do you watch? Have you not watched? And now are you watching? I mean, I will admit that it took a little bit for me to get into the whole idea of Leagues Cup. I mean, I got it. I understood it. But then when you started to have a lot of the simultaneousness of what's going on, it's just the craziness for me is, I guess, what got me hooked. And it continues to go from there. So I've gone from not really watching a whole lot to watching. And I guess maybe because we only have a certain number of clubs that are left in here, I've been watching, just to kind of see what would be happening with the teams that are left in Leagues Cup. It's like, okay, so Leagues Cup here, what are we doing? And still that the Liga MX teams are pretty pissed because of all the travel that they're having to do. And Hutch says that I think what I've learned is that we seem to be at parity with Liga MX, and the level of parity is none too high when the addition of two players, Busquets and Messi, can totally disrupt both leagues. And I mean, and we got into the discussion late last week about Jorge _Mas on the X. And what Intermessi CF is going to be doing from this moment forward. Right now, we've talked about the gap that they have last in the East to getting into the playoffs. This is their way of getting into the CONCACAF Champions Classic Tournament Cup thing. So they are 2 wins away from being on the hemispheric stage. And right now in the CONCACAF Champions Cup League tourney extravaganza, only the Liga MX teams are the ones that have been announced and determined and figured out. I think there's 7 teams right now in the CONCACAF Champions League Tournament Cup extravaganza thing that is coming up next. But you would end up with, Intermessi CF. What do you think that group, the group stage, if Intermessi CF makes it into the CONCACAF Champions League Cup Tournament extravaganza, get them to the Monsters cage at Saprissa. They'd probably end up with a group of like Waterhouse or something out of Jamaica. And don't put it past me for not going to check the group stage in one of those locations either. It might be easier to cover Inter Miami in a situation like that in the group stage, because the further they advance into the tournament, the more difficult it's going to be probably to cover them. Cover them in the group stage. I've got miles and points. I can go do this. But my gut tells me that if they win Leagues Cup, and I know that our friend Lucas Panzico, who'll join us Wednesday, might have something to say about that if they beat Monterrey. The road trip for Liga MX continuing all the way through. And we'll get into Jim Curtin's comments. I don't know if Rich is listening to us this morning live or not, but we'll get into Jim Curtin's comments coming up in a bit. But my gut still tells me if they win these 2 games, they beat Philly, then they beat whoever's on the left-hand side of the bracket. And we didn't get to talk about what's going on the weekend where LAFC completely and totally just threw up all over themselves with a 2-0 lead. I know that Bam was nothing too happy about that. But if Intermessi CF and Jorge _Mas on the X win this tournament, they're also 2 wins away from winning Open Cup. Your next match is against FC Cincinnati at TQL as a part of schedule compression from hell. But you've got 1 tournament win in theory, and you're 2 wins away. You're 4 wins away from 2 tournament wins that would get you into the CONCACAF Champions League Cup extravaganza, the hemispheric extravaganza. Then, you make an honest push toward the playoffs in Major League Soccer, but you're already in. You're already into the hemispheric extravaganza. Why stress yourself out? I know that I will guarantee you that there probably will be a lot of upset fans in some visiting venues after these 4 tournament win possibilities if they've completed themselves. I think if memory serves, the Open Cup final September 27th. And then that leaves you a handful of matches in Major League Soccer that you would need to push your way through. Also coming out of qualifying for the World Cup right before the Atlanta United match, which would affect Almada and Lionel Messi. But my question is that one that we always ask in the stereotypic acting movies with actors inside a movie toward a performance. What's my motivation? If I've won 4 games and I've got 2 titles, what is my motivation other than, maybe trying to sit there and see if we can pull out results being at the bottom of the Eastern Conference with a handful of matches to go? If by September 27th, I'm already into the CONCACAF Champions League Cup Hemispheric Extravaganza, why do I need to push myself? All of this planning and all these folks that are coming in, it's for next year. Bringing in Facundo Farias, bringing in all the younger players. Probably figuring out how to buy down Gregory. Bring in Luis Suarez. Figure out maybe who stays up top. What that looks like. So I'm looking at this as like, what is my motivation? If I win 4 matches in 2 tournaments and I'm in the CONCACAF Champions League Cup Hemispheric Extravaganza, why do I need to push myself? Why? Of course, and now that I say this, probably the exact opposite will happen. They'll win the 4, they'll push themselves, and they'll get right to decision day and be almost close to getting into the playoffs as that 9. Because as a general rule, whatever I say, the opposite traditionally happens. But it will be interesting. This next 6 weeks will be interesting to see if Intermessi CF can get 4 wins, can win 2 tournaments, and then figure out the balance of their season coming out of World Cup qualifying, coming out of Open Cup, and pushing into October in Major League Soccer. Hutch was thinking about placing a long shot bet on Interborg, taking MLS this year until they got out your trusty napkin, figured out they probably can't get enough points to qualify for them this year. But yeah, all this building, Hutch, is for next year. Setting up next year. Seeing a kid like Kromoski develop the way that he has. He's also cap friendly. And I know that there's always this talk of figuring out a cap and increasing it to 7 million. 7 million, really? Really? Adding a 4th DP? Okay. But you've got to do more than 7 million. And the 7 million figure was supposedly set for the 27 season. And it's supposed to be the number next year. You've got to turn this into something akin to the National Hockey League. Give yourself a ceiling, give yourself a floor. We know that clubs will operate in different ways depending on their makeup and their DNA. Dallas and Philly will operate differently than Colorado will, than Seattle will, than Atlanta will, than Intermessi CF will. But you've got to have that opportunity for these owners that want to invest to give them the chance to invest. Jorge Mas has basically come into the room where everybody is smoking the big cigars and they're at the big poker table. And Jorge Mas has basically he's wearing the Rolex. He has come storming into the room. He went blowing right past the 6'5", 350-pound dude in the turtleneck sweater right there at the door that wants the password. Jorge Mas has basically taken his first trip to the ATM, put it in that guy's hand, walked past him to the middle of the table where all of the other owners are playing poker right now. He's taken the cigar from one of the owners, started smoking it by himself, and now he has smashed it in the other guy's drink. And it's like, I'm doing things this way. What do you want to do about it? John Thorrington, we've seen in Los Angeles, has become very imaginative. Jorge Mas has just come storming right into the party behind closed doors at the Speakeasy and is basically like, hey, I'm doing things this way. Y'all want to keep up? Y'all want to catch up? Y'all don't want to be left behind. Hutch says he can see some good coming from this if MLS teams upgrade to play at the apparent new level. Can also see a rate of ticket inflation heretofore unseen in this league as a result. Possibly. But Hutch, I think, as we talk this through and kind of workshop it, as we always do with these big topics, some teams are always going to want to do things their way. Build through the academy, bring in great talent organically, bring in the occasional pickup, sell on the younger player, reinvest. FC Dallas being an example of that off the top of my head. You build, you've got a guy like Ricardo Pepi, you sell him on. And for the first time after selling Pepi on, you've reinvested that money into bringing in other players. We've seen that with Alan Velasco. That's an example. Dallas wants to do things that way. That's cool. Perfectly fine. Zero issue with that. Philadelphia builds through their academy. Then they sell on. Then they bring in somebody like a Daniel Gazdag. Perfectly cool with that. That's your way. And like I said, we'll get into Leagues Cup coming in here since we didn't get the chance to talk about Leagues Cup weekend before we get into Leagues Cup semifinals, the round of 8. So Leagues Cup, Prem, whatever else is on your mind here in hour number 2. We have gossip, rumor, and innuendo. We've got viewing. We got stuff. But you're always going to have those teams. Yeah, and Hutch, intangible of on-field, in-game pro mentoring for these emerging players. Simply cannot hurt. Absolutely right. Oh, and I know that D. Graham wanted to know about Gajardo. I mentioned it on the Twitters this morning before the show started. D. Graham only got 5 minutes. He came in for Kareem Tamimi in the 85th. So came in, had a cup of coffee, fresh legs, trying to run around and chase things for about 9 to 10 minutes. So just got him out there. Everything's fine. So we'll see what Gajardo can bring to the table for the final handful of matches this year. But he did get a cup of coffee, 5+ stoppage last night coming in for Kareem Tamimi. But you're always going to have teams that will invest in their way. Atlanta United, we know that they have the organic build from within, plus finding the younger talented players in U22 and possibly bringing in other players off the top above that. That's the Atlanta United way. NYC is plugged in through City Football Group. They'll do things their way. Red Bull is plugged in through the Red Bull system. They'll do things their way, building from within the Red Bull system, certain type of player, bring that guy in over the top, the veteran. But if you have a situation like we do with Interim SECF and Jorge _Mas on the X, who wants to just sit there and it's like, look, I want to turn this into Barcelona of the 2010s, that should be his prerogative. And if you want to drop that kind of dime, that's fine on me. But instead of doing it to where you get yourself in trouble, as you have previously when it comes to designated players and having 5 on the books when you're only supposed to have 3, if you want to spend that kind of money, let him spend that kind of money. If it turns out to be a financial boon or an on-the-field bust or both, or an on-the-field boon and a financial boon, whatever combination permutation you want to put into play here as a part of the discussion, you ought to be able to have that option, especially with the world coming to this hemisphere in only 3 years. You have 3 years to become that top 10 league internationally. How do you do it? You've got to be a little different with your rules of engagement. You've got to be a little different. And if that means that you kind of change the rules a bit, then you change the rules a bit. Let folks invest the way they want to invest. Update from Graham Smith when it comes to transfers. Leeds United still hopeful of keeping Tyler Adams and Luis Sinisterra despite the weekend's events. Glenn Kamara is back on the radar and an offer for a striker. Like I said, we'll get in the gossip rumor and innuendo here in a bit. But you've got to change the rules. All this talk of a 4th DP, all this talk of moving the cap up to $7 million. You've got That number's got to change. That number's got to change. Numbers got to change. And we'll get into that in a bit. Interesting note out of the World Cup this morning. Australia fans have been buying tickets in the England end to boost their chances of making the showpiece event. A post on the FA's website shared an access code by the name of Lioness intended exclusively for England fans. But Aussie supporters have managed to buy tickets in that section of the stadium, plan on cheering their side on. England had been given an allocation of 1,970 tickets following the 2-1 win over Colombia on Saturday. Aussies have been betting, and they'll be wearing their famous yellow jerseys despite the chaos that could cause. A Facebook post on the Matildas and the A-League Women's Supporters Group page contained many messages from jubilant fans. One user stated, quote, "The code was just meant to be for England supporters. Matildas fans were spreading the code last night, and now they're all sold out for actual England supporters." A second post, quote, "Scored these English supporter tickets too last night. Proudly going to be wearing our Matildas gear." The report says before the incident, as many as 8,000 England fans had been expected to watch on from the stands, but that number now stands to be less following the Aussies' hijack. Australia previously beat England back in April, 2-0, courtesy of goals from Sam Kerr and Charlotte Grant. But you've got QR codes. You've got codes and ticket codes. You got found out. Oh boy, Leagues Cup. Let's get into that, because once again it gives us a chance to sit there and look at how things were over the weekend in the quarterfinals. Nashville took care of Minnesota 5-0. Miami Intermessi took care of Charlotte 4-0. That was the bottom half of the brackets. Monterrey came all the way back to beat LAFC by the score of 3-2. I mean, this was not a PK comeback. This was a comeback. LAFC had a 2-0 lead, and then they didn't. Started off on a PK, and this was at the Rose Bowl, too. Great scenes at the Rose Bowl, by the way. Denny Bouanga scores on a PK in the second minute. Bogusz scores in the 42nd. Canales scores on a PK with about 20 to go. Then a fantastic OG by Palencia as he was trying to track to the far post. Made it 2-2. Funes Mori scores in the 88th to make it 3-2. They come all the way back. Steve Cherundolo not happy. And I want to get the officiating. That's not correct. It'd be good if I could actually spell. But Steve Cherundolo, after the match. Oh, good God. Okay. Sure. Why not? All right. So 12,000 plus LAFC supporters. Good for them. That was very cool. Now you're getting this kind of stuff from insert periodical / website here. And we'll get into Cherundolo's comments on officiating in Leagues Cup. But that would be nice if I could actually type. So you had the Liga MX folks complaining about poor refereeing in the Leagues Cup. And by the way, did you see Ismail Elfath? Ismail Elfath has gone full heel. Absolutely gone full heel. But now what you're seeing after LAFC is up 2-0 and they lose 3-2 is Steve Cherundolo's tenure with LAFC nearing its end. Doesn't explain 2 losses to a challenged Houston team during this bad run. Well, there was There was a roster. It was a starting lineup rotation, considering it was like 2 matches in 4 days. Yeah, so you get fans of the 32-52 who are less than pleased about that. So, okay. Steve Cherundolo loses 3-2. All eyes were on the officiating, and while it could have been seen as a factor, cannot be pointed out as the reason they didn't go through. So Cherundolo says, quote, officiating was a disaster tonight, and I wish my players wouldn't react to the officiating so much. So he was pretty cheesed about the officiating in Leagues Cup. He's not the only one. He was not the only one that was completely, totally bent out of shape. But yeah, he was less than pleased, and he has not been a solo voice in all of this. It's coming from both sides. Liga MX president Mikel Arriola, after calling the tournament, Modiflow, have a good day. Hopefully we'll have a Moises Caicedo answer at some point. Where's he going, red or blue? We'll figure out what's going on. From our friends at World Soccer Talk, despite initially calling the current tournament a success, Liga MX president Mikel Arriola has now voiced concerns about refereeing at the competition. There have been a series of questionable calls that have favored MLS clubs during the tournament. Oh, really? This has included a handball incident during a match between Monterrey and Portland, as well as a controversial VAR decision that penalized Club America. Quote, Arriola, we communicated with the Leagues Cup refereeing committee headed by CONCACAF with the purpose of analyzing both refereeing and VAR. We want to keep growing together because MLS is also concerned that there is homogeneity in refereeing in the use of technology. Homogeneity, man, that's a big word. AI-controlled ref drones are the future of all sports. Hutch, I mean, we already see it in tennis with Cyclops and your goal cams and the goal line technology with your sensors and such. Probably not too far behind. Along with the Mexican League's president voicing his concerns, the league itself also issued a similar statement on social media. After thanking fans and their players, Liga MX then claimed to be focusing on VAR decisions in future matches. Quote, will be fun. This is their statement. I feel like there should be a finger wag attached to this. We will be following the matches, focusing on the arbitration issue and the VAR, a situation that we've already made latent before the Leagues Cup Organizing Committee prior to the start of the round of 16, with the aim of turning it over to CONCACAF for its corresponding analysis, the statement read. PSRA came out on Twitter and said officials are assets. Liga MX and MLS requested CONCACAF officials, meaning the vast majority of officials working the event are from smaller leagues with minimal VAR experience. They know dozens of experienced Liga MX and MLS officials are available if economic conditions improve. Tata Martino, he said he hit back at the complaints. If each club wants to complain, who they have to complain to is the president of the Mexican Federation, the one who accepted the deal and was president of the FMF. You had Tigres, Querétaro, Monterrey. Monterrey beat, so Monterrey has made their way through. So, thank you, Tom. Clarifications. Can't say red or blue for Liverpool and Chelsea. Red or blue vis-a-vis Liverpool will always be them and Everton. True. One side of the park, the other side of the park is probably how I would do Liverpool and Everton. Yeah, visualizing Bobby Cox kicking dirt on a drone, and the drone just kind of standing there and taking it. Maybe zaps him in the foot or something. You know, something like that. Some way that the drone. How does the drone eject the manager? Because if the drone doesn't have like any like appendages or anything, does he like zap him in the shoe or something? But, since this is the Leagues Cup discussion part of the program, you end up with a tournament where the teams that advanced, so Monterrey, LAFC just completely and totally just. Philadelphia, by the way, Philadelphia and Querétaro, and this is where, Robo-Dogs at MLS would be up to the task. Philadelphia and Querétaro, the fourth quarter final is where I wanted to finish. Was where I wanted to finish the Leagues Cup discussion. Once again, and I don't know. I legitimately do not know if this is the case or not. But I don't know the level of understanding that officials have going into matchups and the amount of research. Bueno scores in the 10th. Sepulveda scores in the 65th. Then Donovan scores at 90 plus 11. This is another topic we'll get into here in a bit. After a red card for Mendoza at 90 plus 7. Querétaro tried to hang on it with 10 men, couldn't do it. Donovan scores at 90 plus 11, literally at the death. But I wonder, other than who wrote the Book of Love, I'm wondering if center ref Mario Escobar, your ARs, Luis Aroldo Ventura and Humberto Pañoj, your fourth official, Julio Luna, your VAR, Benjamin Pineda, and your AVAR, Ricardo Montero. I'm always wondering how much they know about a team stylistically going into a tournament or going into a matchup even. And the reason that I ask is because of what we have seen here in Major League Soccer when it comes to Philadelphia Union. All of the fouling, all of the falling down, all of the aspects of frustration and the frustrating play that are associated with going up against a team like Philadelphia. I'm always wondering when it comes to officials in tournaments like these, how much homework they've done going in, or do they? Well, Rich, and it's a broader point. It's a broader point. It is not specifically about Philadelphia. It is the topic, but nevertheless, it is not necessarily about Philadelphia. It's just about homework. I'm wondering how much homework is done by these officials in tournaments like this going in. Because, and Rich, I think you will admit, Rich, you'll stipulate to this. The play on both sides in the match against Querétaro, the last 20 minutes, plus 10, so the last half hour, refs lost control. The refs lost control of the match, and it went sideways. You don't want that in a match, I don't think. It was a 1-1 match, but the guy just completely and totally was all over the place. He was inconsistent, and I don't think you want that in a league quarterfinal. And it was so out of control that at the end, you literally had guys who wanted to take swings at each other. And I'm still wondering if before, and because we haven't seen anything, I'm guessing we probably aren't. I'm wondering because, panicky 25 minutes. It was. And it was great television for those of us who were watching. But when the match was over and you had Joe Bendik, who I legitimately thought was going to be getting a red after the fact, you had a group of probably 15 or 20 individuals in a pile because the match had gotten so out of control. For the second time in a row involving Philadelphia, because of the style of play and because of what they do, I always want to know. Hutch says homework like time wasting or chippy play techniques. I wonder in a tournament like this, if in between matches, if the crew is, if this crew was consistently together, if Center F Mario Escobar did any homework going in, because it got to that point at 90 plus 12, final whistle blows, everybody wants to get the hell off the field, where Querétaro and Philadelphia wanted to take swings at each other because it had gotten so bad. And because it had gone so out of control to where they're not calling things the way that they should have in the first 60, Escobar and his crew, to where everything for the final 40 is off the rails. I don't think you want that in a competition. I know that, Philadelphia wins. Now you've got Messi on Tuesday. And we'll get into the comments about your coach in a second. But I don't think you're doing the tournament any good. And I don't think you're doing competition any good if you have an event that is what it is for 60 or 65. Since Rich, I'll stipulate to your panicky 25 minutes. 25 plus 10 or 11. You're not doing a first-year competition any good if you don't have officials. It doesn't matter for Tuesday anyway. They're going to give Messi all the calls. It will be interesting because I know for a solid fact that Philadelphia, you meaning Philadelphia, the first time now, and this is going to be, and this is why I wanted to bring this up. Because come this match, don't tell me for a second that somebody like Jose Martinez isn't going to want to take a chunk out of Busquets, Kromoski, Messi. And it's going to be up to, and let me see if we've gotten any kind of assignments out for this match. MLS Next Pro, MLS Next Pro, MLS Next Pro. Okay, no, that is not on the Pro website. Okay. I don't know who's calling this match. But is that center ref and this crew going to set a tone to let things slide, let physical contact be, and then whiplash around in the second half? What I want, and what I would hope that anybody wants attached to this matchup tomorrow, and to the matchup on the other side of the bracket, I don't want to discriminate here. We know what Monterrey can bring to the table against Nashville. You know that they're going to try to pin down Hani Mukhtar. Basically, yeah, Hutch, it's a flesh wound. Play on. You know that Monterrey is going to want to shut down Hani Mukhtar. How physical are they going to be against Hani Mukhtar? How physical are they going to be allowed to be against Hani Mukhtar on the left-hand side of the bracket? Same with your matchup, Rich, against Inter Messi. Because you know your midfield. It's going to be different dudes. Mbaizo, Martinez. And I guarantee you that you're probably going to try to take a chunk out of Kromoski first. Remind him that he's a 19-year-old kid. this is what's going to be the interesting element in all of this for me. When you have managers, when you have multiple managers discussing refereeing in a tournament, and then you have the PSRA come out and sit there and say, well, if you'd have invested more, hopefully you'll invest more. Does Miami have an enforcer? Probably Kamal Miller or Krivtsov. One of those guys at the back line. And this is where I want to see that first chop down, and that Sergi Busquets is going to want to be in the pile. That Krivtsov is going to want to be in the pile. Yedlin will be in the pile. Kamal Miller will be in the pile. But my money is on one of those center backs, if not all of them. The entire team, is going to surround Messi the first time he gets chopped down. And I want to see how the match is managed when this happens. I want to see how the match is managed out of the blocks. And I want to see how the match is managed going forward after that first chop down. That's what I'm staring at here. And I know that we all know what Nashville wants to do. We've all seen what Monterrey wants to do. We know what Philadelphia wants to do. We know who Miami is. How do these two crews tomorrow night manage these two matches? Because I think the last thing you want is what happened in the Querétaro match with Philly, again in a Leagues Cup semifinal where everybody wants to come to blows. And I think it will be supercharged because of Inter Messi being who they are and what their roster is. You know that Inter Messi is going to want to shut this door early so they can get to the final and shut it down. And I think if the way that it lays out, I think if Nashville wins, it's in their place. But, Rich, when your head coach is telling your fans, and this was the other element that I wanted to bring into this, where Jim Curtin is telling fans not to sell their tickets. If I have the chance, and you're seeing this happen with season ticket holders all around the planet, if I have the chance to pay for my season tickets for next year by selling my tickets for one match, I'm going to do it. I mean, I understand why Jim Curtin is going to sit there and say, don't do it, because you need that fan support in that building. And I know that there was talk, and this was like talk early, about possibly moving it to the Lincoln Financial Field. But if I'm Philadelphia Union, what I want to do is I want to treat it like an Open Cup environment where I know that team will travel. Fans of that team will travel. I want to be in control of the environment. So that's why you keep it in Chester. You don't move it to the Link, because the larger the crowd can be, the less in control of that crowd you will be if you're Philadelphia. So I completely get it. I completely understand the idea of not moving it to the Link. I know that there was initial talk. All it was talk. It's at Subaru Park. But to tell your fans don't sell your tickets, if the open market wants to bring in $1,500 a ticket and you can get $3,000 for your two tickets and pay for next year's season tickets or pay for something else that you need to do. Oh, I don't doubt this for a second. Rich says tickets went on sale Saturday afternoon, caused a lot of chaos. I don't doubt that for a second. I do not doubt that for 1 second. But I understand completely the notion of not moving it out of Subaru Park. Absolutely, I do. I get that. Because the last thing you need is a lot of Messi fans and a lot of Messi jerseys, whether they're pink or Albiceleste or Barca or whatever. That's the last thing you need if you're trying to advance to a final and you're trying to advance to the CONCACAF Champions League Cup Hemispheric Extravaganza. I completely get that. You want to keep that in as confined an environment as humanly possible. And to do that at Subaru Park, I completely get it 100%. Completely understand that. I wouldn't move it either. But the larger issue is in this. Since you're in a semifinal, it has been ramped up that much more. The importance is ramped up that much more. Who are these two crews? What are they going to let go? What are they going to whistle? Are they going to whistle it early? Do they have whiplash later? Rich doing us a public service and letting us know how chaotic it was. So how chaotic was it? Crossing Broad, playing Union and Messi at Subaru Park instead of moving it to the Link was always the right move. Absolutely it was. Absolutely it was. Tickets for the game sold out in a matter of minutes. This is quoting our friends at Crossing Broad, which means that if you want to see Messi in Chester, you're going to have to pay an arm, a leg, a kidney, and possibly a gallbladder on the resale market. We'll check the resale market coming up in just a bit. You might see some people griping about the Union boosting prices for this game, but context is helpful. And the Cliffs Notes is the Union season ticket holders were given the choice to opt in or opt out. If you opted in, you got your regular seats at regular price, as you should. If you opted out, given a 2-hour window on Sunday afternoon to buy tickets at a 30% discount, still expensive, obviously. And if you were a non-season ticket holder, you likely waited in line for 6 minutes before running into a brick wall, realizing everything was gone. The idea of moving it to the Link. More fans get in, better environment. Union sell more tickets, make more money, flip the money into something useful, make the game feel bigger. Playing in the Eagles Stadium in the city proper opens the door for casuals to get a taste, helps Unions make inroads with the 4-for-4 crowd. Counterpoints from Crossing Broad. 8-1-2 at Subaru Park. I didn't know they called it the Sub. 8-1-2 regular season play, 12-0-5 last year. Add another 40,000 tickets, you risk additional Messi fanboys buying them up. That was our big point. Number 2. Absolutely number 2. They never played at the Link. Point 3. Grass surface was mostly the same. Varying dimensions, different margins, different feel, short turnaround to get the season ticket holders into comparable positions. True. Locker room, slap in the face to Chester. Point 6, if we're being honest, what's the point of Subaru Park if big games aren't going to be played there? Best competitive advantage possible. Check, double check, triple check. Best competitive advantage possible. That's it. That's why you played at Subaru Park. End of discussion. That is absolutely why you played at Subaru Park. Completely get it. Absolutely. Not a shock. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Let's get into who's been moving and who has been moved and who might be moving. And plus what you got to watch on TV today. Remember, Monday Night Football, probably starting at 2 o'clock on Peacock, Manchester United and Wolves. We'll go over the juice boxes coming up in a bit. It'd be nice if I could actually push the gossip button. Here we go. Okay. Al Hilal have revived their interest in Alexander Mitrovic. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. We talked about that. About how Mitrovic was pissed that he was not able to go to another place. He was not able to go get the big paycheck at Al Hilal. Moises Caicedo could have his medical at Chelsea. He could. £115 million move. Newcastle looking to secure a loan deal for either Kieran Tierney or Mark Cucurella, according to the Telegraph. Spurs considering a move for Folarin Balogun following Harry Kane's departure. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. Arsenal, I think, had tagged a £50 million price tag on him. That'd be half of the money that you spent. So then, question is Folarin Balogun worth half of Harry Kane? That's your big question. Liverpool, Bayern Munich, PSG, interested in PSV Eindhoven's £32 million rated Ibrahim Sangare. PSV rejected an offer from Forest for the midfielder this summer. Bayern Munich rejected Manchester United's offer for defender Benjamin Pavard. Pavard is pushing to join Manchester United, however, who are expected to make an improved bid. Brought in this morning as a part of our discussions, Manchester United also considering, thank you, Tom, a move for Belgian midfielder Amadou Onana and are waiting on Everton's valuation. That was from the four-letter paper, but our friends at The Guardian say that Everton are reluctant to sell the 21-year-old after only one season. United would need to bid at least £50 million to stand a chance, from Jacob Steinberg at The Guardian. Ten Hag keen to address his team's lack of physicality and has turned his focus to bringing in a commanding central midfielder. United are yet to make progress in their pursuit of Fiorentina's Sofiane Amrabat. Everton are reluctant to lose Onana. They dropped $33 million on him last year to bring him in from Lille. They're not under financial pressure to make a sale. Belgians, a key player for Sean Dyche club, hope to hold on to the 21-year-old for at least another year. Everton's stance is Onana's value will continue to grow if he has a good season. Understood they do not need to sell him in order to finance a move for a striker. Lack of ruthlessness in front of goal evident when Dyche's side opened the season with a 1-0 defeat at Fulham. De Cordova-Reid had the late goal for Fulham in that match. Everton are intent on signing a striker. Ten Hag wants more depth in midfield after allowing Fred to go to Fenerbahce. Feels United need more height, but he doesn't want to compromise on quality. United believe Onana is more than a destroyer. Good enough on the ball to play for Ten Hag, whose options in midfield are Casemiro, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, McTominay, and Christian Eriksen. McTominay could be sold if another midfielder arrives. West Ham had a £30 million bid turned down. United holding out for 45. United have spent heavily this summer, strengthened in goal by signing Onana from Inter, Mount from Chelsea for 60, Rasmus Højlund from Atalanta for 72. They could sign a center back if Harry Maguire goes to West Ham. $30 million deal delayed by Maguire seeking a payoff from United to leave. Erik ten Hag also has said that he either wants Maguire to fight for his place or get out. You know, you're either going to fight for your place on this roster or you're headed out the door. Anthony Martial set to hold talks over his future at Manchester United. West Ham, one of three clubs interested in signing him. Ajax set to sign Chuba Akpom, the forward from Middlesbrough, for $10 million. That might be a good bargain. Kyle Walker will turn down a move to Bayern, sign a new deal with Manchester City this week. That's from Fabrizio Romano. City will also consider Crystal Palace's 21-year-old Michael Olise if they fail to sign West Ham's Lucas Paqueta. They're Paqueta now. Liverpool expected to match Chelsea's offer of $55 million for Southampton's midfielder Romeo Lavia, and this is what we were getting into with the discussions about how values are inflated, especially inside European football itself. Caicedo has completed his Chelsea medical after a British record fee is agreed. Liverpool agreed to Lavia's price on the 60. Chelsea still pursuing. We'll have some updates coming up in just a sec. Juve are in discussions with Chelsea over signing Lukaku, who is keen to move to Turin. Corriere dello Sport this morning. And then Frenkie de Jong wants to stay at Barca for life. For life, despite persistent links with Manchester United. Transfer Center from our friends at Sky. Everton still looking to sign, and this is from within the hour, Tom, so this is decent information. Everton still looking to sign Wilfred Gnonto this summer, despite the arrival of Jack Harrison on loan from Leeds. Dyche wants to add another winger to the squad. Gnonto remains Everton's number one target. Leeds have reiterated Gnonto isn't for sale, having already rejected numerous approaches from Everton so far this summer. Gnonto has missed Leeds' last 2 matches, believed he would welcome the opportunity to move to Goodison Park. Gnonto wants out. But Leeds have to sit there and agree to the outness. It's like, okay, where are you going? I don't think they want to sell him to a team that they might be chasing after in the relegation promotion discussion, as they're both of those gap teams from like 20 to 30 when it comes to English football. Middlesbrough getting an initial fee of 10, which could rise to 15 on the Chuba Akpom deal. This was interesting. Yeah, Hutch, yes. I'm old enough to remember when Bob Horner was demanding $1 million a year, and it was a huge sum and could start quite a divisive conversation. Here's a piece of trivia for you. Who was at the game that Bob Horner hit his first major league home run at, but missed Bob Horner hitting his first major league home run because he was in the bathroom? I'll give you a minute. Raise his hand. That's me. Same thing with Mark McGwire when he hit 62. I was at work. Yeah, Ted Turner was, Hutch, yeah. When Mark McGwire hit 62, I was not in front of a television. I was working. I was not in front of a television, and everyone else in the newsroom was. I was not. So I missed watching Mark McGwire hit his 60-second home run because I was not in front of a television in the newsroom. Everybody else was. But, yeah, I was at Bob Horner's first game, the game where he hit his first major league home run. But I did not see it because I was taking a pit stop, giving a pit stop. I was in a pit stop. Saudi Arabian Football Federation is in advanced talks with Roberto Mancini to become their new national team manager. Everybody was like, oh, Mancini's leaving Italy. That was a bit of a stunner. And so he leaves, and everybody's sitting there going, why? Now we might know why. Because the national team is offering him like $11 gazillion to be the possible new manager of the national team. He could be the next manager of their national team, offering him an incredible amount of money to do so. Mancini resigned as Italy's head coach on the weekend, and then all of a sudden you get these gossip rumors and innuendos. Surprise resignation is how it was phrased. And now it appears that he could be heading to Saudi Arabia to be ahead of their national team, getting paid an incredibly obscene amount of money. Tell me if you've heard that before. He could be getting paid an obscene amount of money to be the new manager of the Saudi national team. From our friends at the AP. European Championship Title 21, failed qualification for the World Cup. Says the resignation on his Instagram was a personal choice. Euro 2024 qualifying, by the way, starts September the 9th. So Italy's got less than a month to find a new manager to go up against North Macedonia and Ukraine, September 9 and 12. Antonio Conte, Spalletti, two of the top names. Nick has a list of who it should be. Next time Nick's on the show, we'll talk about it. Spalletti said he wants to take sabbatical. 9 days ago, the Fed announced Mancini was being given the added responsibility of overseeing the U20 and U21s under contract through the 26 World Cup. Renzo Olivieri, president of the Coaches Association, told La Presse, "It's a bit surprising. Nobody expected it. Nothing can be said until the reasons behind the resignation are known. It's useless to say anything without knowing that. I'm sorry that he's left. Did a good job despite those last things." Mancini was hired in May of 2018 after they failed to qualify for the 18 World Cup under Ventura. Quoting the AP, "And he did by adding flair and youth to a team that won admirers all over the continent during the year-delayed Euro 2020, beating England at Wembley in a penalty shootout. Between 18 and 21, coached him to a world record 37-match unbeaten run. Hailed for his vision when he called up Nicola Zaniolo before he'd ever played in Serie A. Struggled to find top talent from the Italian league, which has been hesitant to use young players at times. At times, the 1-0 semifinal loss to 67th ranked North Macedonia meant the Azzurri missed the World Cup in Qatar. According to the AP, also, it's been an emotional time. He lost Gianluca Vialli to pancreatic cancer back in January. He's 58. Then Sinisa Mihailovic died before Vialli with a long battle of leukemia. So we'll see what happens. Puts the Fed in complete rebuilding mode. Women's coach Milena Bertolini announced her resignation after the Azzurri failed to advance to the front out of the Women's World Cup stage. So, yeah, but there is a big discussion that Mancini is going to head to Saudi Arabia and be their new head coach. Report. According to Arabic Language Sports Daily, and I'm going to butcher this, and I apologize ahead of time, Ariadia. News outlet quotes unnamed sources saying that Mancini would likely take up the role vacated by Hervé Renard, who hasn't been replaced since his departure in March, now manager of his nation's women's national team. If confirmed, he would become the 49th coach of the Saudi national team, 19th European, first Italian. First order of business for the coach would be the Asian qualifiers starting in November. Saudi Arabia take on Jordan, Tajikistan, and either Cambodia or Pakistan. So that's what you're staring at. CR38 delivered first trophy of the season, both goals over Al Hilal in something called the King Salman Club Cup on Saturday. Congratulations. Happy for you. Rich, I love how those who constantly crap on the M&T still think Italian team is still being run better. Yep. Yeah, I know. Well, we always have this opportunity to look at others. And we should maybe spend time in the mirror sometimes, just a little more. Let's see. We didn't really get into the Premier League, but this previous weekend, before we get into Monday Night Football. By the way, Manchester United's a minus 345. Chelsea and Liverpool 1-1 draw. Brentford and Spurs a 2-2 draw. Like I said, next time that Jarrett comes on, I want to have Jarrett kind of break down Ange Postecoglou. And for the uninitiated, have folks understand why hammering the over is probably the play this year when it comes to Spurs. Very, very exciting match at the G-Tech. Spurs and Brentford a 2-2 draw to plus 254. Newcastle thumped Villa 5-1. Fun day for them at St. Mary's. And obviously for Villa, you're looking at Tyrone Mings and trying to figure out, okay, what do we do now? Bournemouth and West Ham a 1-1 draw. Very, very important point for Iraola and Bournemouth. They were down 1-0, came back to tie it at 1. That was your final. Brighton put 4 on Luton. Welcome to the Premier League. It was competitive. It was pretty even for the first 25, 30 minutes. And then Brighton scored, and then Luton, had to try to figure out how to get back into the match at a minus 345. We mentioned Fulham with the goal by Decordova Reed beating Everton by the score of 1-0 at a plus 231. Crystal Palace beat Sheffield United at Bramhall Lane. That one was 1-0. And Arsenal, big win over Nottingham Forest in the early game on Saturday morning, 2-1. And why I didn't triple captain Erling Haaland in my fantasy team, I have no idea. Manchester City welcomed back Burnley to the Premier League at a minus 294 with a 3-0 win over Burnley at Turf Moor. And I am one of the biggest Pep Guardiola fans that you'll ever come across. The halftime conversation as they're walking, because to get to the locker rooms at Turf Moor, it's a bit of a hike. It's kind of like when you're at Selhurst Park in Crystal Palace. It's a hike. And so in control at the half, 2-0, and Pep Guardiola wants to have a discussion with Erling Haaland. And Mr. Steadicam goes up and gets kind of right there as the discussion is happening. And Steadicam is like off the right shoulder of Erling Haaland. Pep Guardiola is off the left shoulder of Erling Haaland. Pep walks around Erling Haaland, and it took a while, and takes the Steadicam, and literally you see him kind of stiff arm with a flourish with the Steadicam. He takes his right hand, takes the lens, and he just kind of pushes the lens away. And the lens kind of goes, a little bit. And then you see Guardiola with the flourish in the hand just kind of sit there, and it just kind of stays. He's finished the move, and he's accentuating the fact that he has finished the move as they walk and continue their conversation down the line. I thought that was vintage Pep. Pep is always looking to try to make sure to remind his players that they are to give the best on both sides of the ball at all times. And when he's going to have a conversation with his star unicorn, Mr. Steadicam better not be close. Lesson learned in TV production by our friends at Turf Moor on the weekend. We talked gossip, rumor, and innuendo. What are you watching today? We mentioned Monday Night Football. USA wins the CONCACAF U15 Boys Championship for the first time, by the way. Congratulations in that tournament, beating Mexico 4-2 in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Tommy Heineman, coaching the U15s, outscored their opponents 25-5. Kevin Sullivan, named the tournament's best player, younger brother of Philadelphia Union forward Quinn Sullivan, led the Union U15s to the GA Cup final, prompting Jim Curtin to say he has the talent and ability to become, I'll just say, a household name. So congrats to the CONCACAF champs, the U15 League A champs, the United States. Well done there on the weekend. Also, Haji Wright, Josh Sargent scoring on the weekend. Mbappe has come away from the second team. It looks like he's going to be practicing with the first team now. And let's see. Oh, yeah, we were going to talk about what you're watching today in addition to Monday Night Football. beIN's got the Turkish Super League. Fatih Karagümrük and Beşiktaş at 2. beIN and beIN in Espanol. You can catch that in Fanatics, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you can catch beIN. You can catch all the beIN networks. You can catch TIC. You can catch TIC and the Argentine League, Gold TV for the fans. All the live action Brasileiros available as well. Catch that on Fanatics, fntz.co/soccer down here. USA has Manchester United and Wolves. ESPN Deportes doubleheader on La Liga. Cadiz, Alaves, Atletico Madrid and Granada, 1:30 and 3:30. Universo is your simulcast partner for Manchester United and Wolves on the Plus. Doubleheader in the DFB Pokal, noon and 2:30. They are simulcasting also on the Plus, your La Liga matchups. Paramount Plus, very, very busy. The Argentine Primera doubleheader, Argentinos Juniors, Union Santa Fe, Racing Club, and Boca Juniors at 7:30. 6 matches in the Brasileiro starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with Flamengo and Atletico Paranaense. Sao Paulo Bragantino is at 3. Mineiro Santos is at 5. Internacional Fluminense is at 6, along with Palmeiras and Cruzeiro. And then Bragantino and Vasco da Gama is at 8. I don't know how they're playing twice at 3 and at 8, but we'll see. Maybe they're going to take a shuttle. 4 matchups in the Coppa Italia. First match coming up in 40 minutes. Cremonese Crotone, Sampdoria Südtirol at noon, Spezia Venezia at 3, Torino Ferro Pisalo at 3:15. So that's your viewing pleasure for today with everything going on TV. Tomorrow, once again, reminder, it is going to be an afternoon SDH. Appointments in the morning, cannot be moved. So we will do an SDH PM afternoon, maybe middle of the afternoon. So set your notifications and we'll go from there. And we will get everything squared away with that. Wednesday, it is going to be Lucas Panzica from Nashville SC, play-by-play voice at 104.5 The Zone. He'll be joining us right off the top at 9:05 to talk Leagues Cup and the final two, as Nashville's hosting Monterrey, and we talk about Inter Miami, Inter Messi, and Philadelphia. Dylan Butler hopefully joining us at 10. Bart Keeler for another round of reffing down here, and whatever else is on Bart's mind, probably Women's World Cup. We'll talk to him at 10. Thursday, 10:30, Nico Moreno for Thursdays with Nico. Friday is a 9 o'clock start. Beyond Goals mentoring, probably Michael Parkhurst, who will not be joining us once again from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, like Greg Garza did last Friday. 9 o'clock start, 9:30 to get your Beyond Goals mentoring, 10 o'clock get you ready for the weekend. And we'll have all of our league programming, USL Championship, League One, Next Pro, Prem and Proper coming up late in the week. 1v1 slated with Soleil Washington, as she is now officially home from her tour with the Reggae Girls in the Women's World Cup. And we're also going to try to track down some folks who had some big weekends who have ties to SSA. And we'll catch up with them internationally in Liga MX Femenil and in the SPFL. So it's going to be a very, very busy week across the board. And thanks for hanging out. All of you for hanging out with us to kind of have conversations, and we'll go from there. So back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow morning. Or sorry, oops, my bad. No, SDH PM tomorrow. I'm used to saying 9:05 tomorrow morning. SDH PM tomorrow. When we know what time, we'll let you know. But look mid-afternoon, early to mid-afternoon, after lunch. Then we'll do an SDH PM. Might be a power hour, might be a little longer. We'll see. But for everybody here, thanks to all of you there. We'll be back at it again tomorrow once again for another go-around of Soccer Down here. Since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. That means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. Jeez. Tomorrow afternoon. Set your notifications for SDH PM on a Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Reaction Monday. Back soon.